All right, now here we are with the creator and the publisher of Hellsblood. Now, as the creator, why don't you tell us a little bit about Hellsblood?
Hellsblood is a story about a young kid who acquires these powers, and you have a bunch of demons and a werewolf after him to acquire those powers.
All right.
It's kind of like, action horror in modern day type of thing. I actually wrote this story, and the story revolves around my hometown, actually.
Now tell us, what does Hellsblood stand for?
Well, the name just came to me, but the story itself is about Santeria. You ever hear Santeria?
Mm-hmm.
It's a religion from Cuba and stuff, so I kind of revolved it around that off of a book that I read on Santeria. It's basically about a god that makes these fire opals for a goddess to impress her. So it's basically what happens when man gets a hold of these opals. And it goes back and forth, basically demons trying to get the opals to bring Satan back.
Okay, so it's the classic story of, Satan's stuck in hell, he wants to get on Earth, and the demons got to do stuff on Earth to let him through the portal, right?
Exactly.
All right. Now, why don't we talk to the publisher a little bit? I hear that you helped out a little with the comic.
Oh, just a little bit. I read the story a few years ago. I loved it, and basically I really supported Hector. And I said, well, you know what? Why don't you publish it under our banner, Guildworks Publications? So that's what we're doing now. Issue 2 is actually coming out November. So that's kind of where we're at.
All right. Now, I hear that you actually helped just a little bit with the artwork. Now, that's not something the publishers generally do. Publishers are generally more hands-off. So how exactly are you an artist?
I went to art school and everything. I love doing comics and drawing, and I basically try to do it when I can.
You're like, I want to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you want to put your hands in everything. You get just excited about doing things as the creator. So that's kind of why I look for opportunities like that.
All right, and so when did Hellsblood begin?
Hellsblood actually started about 10 years ago, before I even met Hector. But I've known Hector for quite a while, and a few years ago he said, I really want to do this. I want to get this going. And I said, you know what? I love the story. I love the characters. Half the work's already done. Let's just make it happen. And then I sat down and started really fleshing everything out, reworking the story, reworking the characters, and getting it to where it's at now.
So basically you've had this idea floating around in your head for years and years and years, and you talked to your buddy here and said, you know what, I want to make this idea a reality, right?
Exactly.
All right, so when would you say the creative spark first hit you for this story?
Actually, when I drew this guy up.
You want to hold that up there?
I drew this guy up, and once I got him going, I started creating all these other characters to kind of revolve around him.
All right, why don't you explain this character a little bit to us? Hold him out a little more and explain what we're looking at.
Well, this is actually like a 16-year-old. It turns into this massive creature after he acquires the opal. The reason he turns that way is because he doesn't believe in Santeria. So if you don't believe in what you got, then it kind of distorts your body and all that stuff. But he's massive, probably like Hulk size. And he's a kid that doesn't want this stuff, but he's got to deal with it anyway.
All right, and tell us, what is this bladed hair coming out of him?
Yes.
Does he use that as a weapon?
Not as a weapon, more like electricity conductor. Because he, part of his powers are electricity.
So does he ever get struck by lightning in his hair?
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about his different powers. You say they revolve around electricity. What kind of attacks does he do?
He can electrocute you, obviously. He can absorb textures. So if he touches steel, he can turn his body into steel. He can melt. His name is Meltdown, so he can melt away like liquid. And basically, you can chop his arm off and it'll grow back instantly.
All right, so if he's so powerful, then what kind of weaknesses does he have, if any?
Heat.
Heat. So heat is his weakness.
Yeah, the werewolf that he's actually fighting, his blood is actually lava. So he can spit lava and magma. So they basically are the perfect match up against each other.
All right, and so this flaming werewolf lava guy doesn't have the morphing, steely lightning powers that he does, but then he can't quite kill this guy without hurting himself and burning himself.
Right.
All right, now tell me, is he the first superhero that you ever came up with, or was he maybe the fifth or sixth, down the road?
Actually, it was, I would say the first. I don't know if I consider him a hero, but...
Anti-hero.
Either way. Yeah.
Does he fight for good?
Sometimes.
So when it suits his purposes.
Yeah, very good.
All right, well, Hellsblood, the artwork looks great. The story sounds really cool. Reminds me a lot of things like, Hellblazer, or more recently, crap, can't even think of it. But, Hellblazer, or, The Darkness. Makes me think of The Darkness, Hellblazer, things like that, which, all really cool stories. So, your story, if it's anything like those, is probably something really awesome. If... I hear that you actually have something to give to the fans here.
These are all for the fans.
Oh, wow. Why don't you hold up a little bit
There's
of this?
5 of these, I believe. That's the actual cover to the book.
So right here, he's showing us 5 different posters, and we have a shirt here, too. Here, why don't you tilt that that way right there. We will be giving these out all to our UFrag viewers. This is swag from the show. Really cool, awesome stuff, courtesy of
Guildworks Publications, Guildworks Publications, GWPbooks.com.
All right, and that is where we can find this comic?
That's the publishing company. If you want to check out Hellsblood specifically, it's hellsblood.net.
All right, and can you sign these for us, make them even more valuable?
Yes.
Awesome. We will have these signed, and we will give them out to our UFrag viewers.
We also have 2 books, actually.
2 books. We're going to be giving out 2 books?
Yes, 2 books.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for this great interview. Great-looking comic. And now I'm going to shoot to...